and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence in remembrance of Ronnie Metcalf. Adoption of tonight's agenda.
I
Need a motion?
make a motion to adopt tonight's agenda. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Approval of February 26th, March the 4th, March the 19th, 2024 minutes.
I make a motion to approve February 26th, March 4th, and March 19th, 2024 minutes.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion does carry. Public comment. Citizens may speak on items not listed on the printed agenda. Please state your name and address and observe the 3-minute time limit.
I did not have anyone. Did you wish to speak?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, I signed up.
Oh, you did. I'm sorry. I missed seeing your name. Carter.
Carter,
Is it just on items not on the agenda?
Yes.
Disregard.
Okay.
Is there going to be a section for public comment when you get to the stop sign for Broad?
Not knowing.
No. No, that we're not. Go ahead, Carter. I think that would be a good time.
Carter Burns, 334 Broad Street. I just want to give context. I know I've spoken at length with Angel and the chief, but we do have a speed issue on Broad. So just some things to keep in mind whenever you guys are looking at this when it comes up. At one time, we had talked about potentially doing 2 stop signs on Broad and Spring. One at the intersection of Broad and 2nd, and then the other one at Broad and 4th. And the reason behind this is this way it would limit the amount of speed you can get once you turn onto Broad, because there'll be two separate stopping points. We've got one house that's had to put up slow children at play signs. You've got another family that does not let their 2 daughters walk back and forth from the homes. I myself have called 911, I think it was roughly 5 or 6 times in the month of March, either through trucks running over our signs, which is a separate issue, or for speeding. Chief James and his staff, they did a phenomenal job. They're limited with the amount of people we have, but they would always follow up and, they would communicate. But we just need something done. And, as a private citizen, that section, and then now as chair of planning and zoning, we initially discussed putting in speed humps. The elephant in the room on that one is who's going to keep that up from a cost standpoint. So stop signs are just more practical, more feasible. The other request would be once you install those, either, I know it's a big ask, but either have the county come down to help out with our folks with the police department, or have the police department sit up. My request would be the morning traffic hours, evening traffic hours, so 8 to 9 roughly, 5 to 6. Random times on weekend, they can park in right at my little side street in between myself and Fay Cole. Also send out letters to all the residents. Make sure we have enough communication, because there are people that have lived on that road for 70 some years and there's never been a stop sign. But we're just making a lot of changes due to those speed variances that are occurring. So just want to give some context on why that is an issue, and have no concern it won't be approved, but just kind of giving some additional backstory to it.
Thanks for your comments. Anyone else? Proclamation for Volunteer Appreciation Month, April 2024. You're very good. Proclamation, National Volunteer Month, April 2024. Whereas since 1974, April has been recognized as National Volunteer Month, a month dedicated to recognizing the importance of volunteering and honoring the significant contributions volunteers have made by generously donating their time and talents to to worthy causes, and whereas recognizing National Volunteer Month provides the town of Denton an opportunity to acknowledge and thank the many residents that have volunteered and provided resources to meet the critical needs of our community. And whereas the town of Denton has an outstanding group of volunteers who perform acts of goodwill and in turn improve the quality of life for others. And whereas all residents are encouraged to become involved in our community, step forward to serve and help to continue making Denton, North Carolina, a great place to live and grow. Now, therefore, I, Larry D. Ward, Mayor of the town of Denton, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2024 as National Volunteer Month. In the town of Denton, I encourage everyone to join me in recognizing and supporting those who volunteer and serve. And I think it's very true. Approved resolution R2324-12 supporting a potential Davidson County sports complex and multi-use facility. Angel, would you address the board?
Good evening, everyone. So I was asked to present this from Casey Smith, for the county manager, and also Todd Yates, one of our county commissioners, has reached out. The county is looking at developing a sport complex with a multi-purpose facility that would house a soccer fields. If you've ever been involved with any type of travel sports, they have complexes that are set up with multiple fields, and then also like a commons area that would have either space for meetings or it just left me a place for them to sell drinks and snacks and concessions. Thank you. That word would not come. So they are looking at this, and in our talk today, Mayor Ward said that he believed that we've had this come before the board several years ago, that they are still pursuing this as an active development for the community. And they are looking, as far as I know, there's some property on Highway 64 that they're looking at, but I don't have a specific area yet. I think they're still in works for that, but just to let the county know that we would support their actions in seeking this complex for Davidson County. And it could be that they're looking at soccer fields, but it could also be that they might incorporate some baseball, softball fields, with the outfields potentially being used for a soccer field as well. So, any questions you guys have on that?
But what they're looking at is towards our area, not the northern end.
From what I've gathered, they're looking at the 64 area. So that could be from, 85 at Lexington as far south as us. So
I know at one time they were looking up around the community college, and I think that kind of fell through some property that was across the street there. But as the mayor said some years back, we had a resolution such as this, and I think 64 this way is.
I don't know if they actually have secured the property yet. I know they were actually looking at some property in southern Davidson County at one time. So, that could still be a possibility.
I've heard that they have secured that area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if, we're not opposed to them seeking, development or proposing this out for possible development, if we can get a motion for support to the county for this project.
I would make a motion to approve resolution R2324-12, supporting a potential Davidson County sports complex and multi-use facility.
Second.
Any further discussion needed on this? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. North Carolina Utility Management Best Practices Introduction. Angel, would you address the board on that one?
Last month, Mayor Ward, Michael Hyde, Paula, Hedrick, and myself attended an educational meeting in Fayetteville. And it is in regards to the Bible utilities. And this was established through the North Carolina General Statute that allows them to come in and give assistance to systems that are in need of a lot of projects to be done, maybe an aging system. There are several ways that you follow on to this. It's not a bad thing to look at. I know sometimes people think, well, if you're viable, that means you've got problems. We do have a lot of projects. As you guys know, the water and sewer department are both aging, and some of the projects that have been done are already 10 years old. And so some of them probably 20. So we are looking at a lot of things that need to be done, not only at water and sewer plant, but our infrastructure as well. And with being under the Bible unit, there are things that we need to do. And the first is being training and education. So we've taken that first step as someone from our board, our finance manager, and someone from the utility, and going and taking that education. What you've been given is a copy of the presentation that was presented to us at the meeting, and I'm trying to get a copy of the actual virtual meeting so that you guys can hear it. It's sometimes easier if you can hear the feedback that's coming back from those that attend the conference or the educational day. So as soon as we do have that, I'll send that out to you, and that way it might answer some of the questions that the slides don't really give more detail to. But the second thing that we need to do is conduct an asset assessment and then also a rate study. So, we've been talking about looking at a rate study for our water and sewer department. And in speaking with the representatives from DEQ, we can definitely do our rate study now. However, knowing that we could potentially be doing another rate study as soon as the asset inventory assessment is completed, because then you've got to look at what are our needs and will this current rate support what the needs are for the plant and keep us moving forward the next 5 to 10 years. So part of what we have in our meeting tonight is also a resolution, resolution 13 and 14. And these are in order to apply for a grant that would pay for this asset management plan. Last week, we had a representative from Wooten Engineering Firm who met with the water plant. Jason and Michael were there, and then we went to the sewer plant and met with Troy and just reviewed what we see the concerns are for each department. And after reviewing all the information, did a conference call with them the next day. There is a grant that is due April 30th. So part of being able to apply for that grant is that we adopt the resolution stating that if we apply and if we are awarded the money, that we will use the money to pay for these asset inventory assessment plans. And it's one for the water plant and one for the sewer plant. And what this will do is they'll come in and really just take everything. And talking with one of the representatives, his name is John Gray, and in talking with him, he's very hopeful. He feels like because we're a Bible unit, we have more of a precedent to be awarded this money, and we can be awarded up to $400,000. He didn't feel like that we would need that much for our study, but once you start adding every part that we're looking at, because he wants to also look at our I&I, he wants to look at the storm drains and the issues that we have, with overflow in the past with storms when the waters are rising, and Troy's having experience with that with this manholes. So with everything together, they'll assess and put in for the grant what they feel like would be the most that we would need. They don't, of course, if they feel like $400,000, then we'll ask for that and we'll move forward. But we are also, as part of all of this tonight, I've sent out an RFQ for on-call engineering, and that's something that I know that as the board, we've talked about this at several meetings, is having an engineering firm who is on-call and working with us, kind of that boots on the ground type of person, and that's something that we don't have and we've not had for many years. And so the RFQ would simply be another step of this process of being a viable unit. Okay, so we're looking for someone who can fit the description in Appendix A for the scope of work. And it's someone who's gonna know or be able to come in and take our plant and know that we've got these projects and seeking out the help that we need for grants. And I think that in looking at it, it's a very simple RFQ, but it is to the point. I mean, it is saying what it is that we're in need of and what we're looking for. And if there are no questions on that, I'd like to be able to push that out starting tomorrow so we could have them back in before our next meeting in May. Okay. Are there any questions that you guys have for me?
If not, I'm good.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and when they do this, will we have like results after what they,
Now, it will take, and I will say, when we were meeting at the wastewater plant, you know, initially when we met with Miles, the other representative, he said they would look at starting the process of the grant in the fall. It's awarded springtime, and then it could be as far as 18 months. Am I stating that right? As far as 18 months before we would ever see this come to light. But then with this, we're getting ahead of the game. So they would award this, I believe it's June or July. So then by fall, they could already start that process, and this time next year, we can have projects ready to go for grants. And even projects that we know we can go ahead and do with our budget. So
that's gotta be everything done and in before the 30th, due by the 30th.
yes, the grant is due by the 30th. So we're gonna be working hard to get all that information, because a lot of it, you know, is we don't have, and some of it we do. So it'll be a lot of work, but I'm confident we can get that together. And also the state representatives that we've been working with are really good. They reached out to me Thursday. I let them know Wooten had already talked to them, Wooten's engineering firm. And so they want to do a conference call this week and just kind of say, okay, where are you? What information do you need? And they want to help us. They want to help us get this grant. So I think that's a great thing.
Well, I make a motion for the North Carolina Utility Management Best Practices and Conditions.
All right. So are you doing the first one, Commissioner Hogan?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I do the first and second
Okay.
in one motion. I'll make a motion for the utility management and the best practices introduction.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion on this? If not,
We are approving these two resolutions, right?
13 and 14.
24, 13, and 14. Okay, just want to make sure that was what we're doing.
So I'll get those sent in tomorrow, and we'll keep moving forward with the grant process. And-
all in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Do we also need a motion on the request for qualifications?
I don't think so,
Okay.
just because it's really, it's informational purposes right now.
Okay,
Once we come back to you with anyone who has submitted, then we'll do a review of them.
okay.
Okay. And I've got, sending it out tomorrow and asking it back for the 23rd, so that then I can turn around and send them out for you guys to review before the meeting. Okay?
You know, one, this,
It looks interesting.
I didn't think, you know, Michael could answer this question better than I can. I didn't think we were deficient on anything.
We only had, one, and it was for an overage last year or this past season where we had to report it. And that was during that storm that
Yeah,
we got.
that's right.
How many inches within 6 hours?
We had that big
Is that
flood
right?
out.
4.2 or something.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, so,
That was it.
yeah, so I mean, and it's, you know, a lot of it too is our rates, like there's a dashboard. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the dashboard that you can go on and see the actual rates for water and sewer systems. But I can send that out to you. But it's interesting to go on and see what other towns of our size or service size, what their rates are and everything. You know, our rates, we heard it this morning, our rates are high. We're a small unit, and the cost continues to rise, and unfortunately, that means that rates will increase as well. So hopefully, if we can get some of the weight of the projects off of us through a grant, then that could potentially, down the road, reduce the cost to the user. So,
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
yeah, I know everybody would. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Consideration of request, Davidson County Senior Services Cafe sign located at the Denton Civic Center. Angel, tell us about that.
All right, so, and I'm gonna call on Miss Paula too, if I leave something out. She's been talking to them quite a bit with this. So in your package, you had received a copy of what their potential for the sign to be. And it is that the home of the Denton Cafe is a gathering place for adults 60 plus for fun, food, and fellowship. And it's every day of the week from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So they still do the nutrition site there, but then they've also revamped their activities. They used to do activities a lot, and then, you know, COVID happened and everything shut down for a while, so they've kind of gotten back into that, but they're doing a focus on trying to have something for everyone. And so that's what this is, and they want the public to be aware. And if you drive by the Civic Center, you probably don't realize that it is used by the senior services Monday through Friday. And then there's also a copy of the April events calendar that kind of shows you a little bit of what they have going on. And I know they're looking at adding things as they continue out through the month. So what they'd like to do is place a sign. They have a temporary sign if you're looking at the front of the building, it's on the left side of the building, kind of between the edge of the building and the front porch area. And it's really a good spot because it doesn't block the traffic view coming up Salisbury. If we could potentially look at placing something there, and then that way it's visible from Salisbury, I think, from every direction. So you'll be able to attract people with it there. And it would be a kind of a semi-permanent, because if, you know, the program were to end, they would be able to remove it.
How large is the sign that they propose?
They have not given any specs regarding signage size. They did state that it would be more sturdy than what they had before, but also, you know, something that would stand, I guess, weather and so forth. So.
And they really have, I was asked to come speak about the history, but I was really impressed with their meals and the functions they have for everybody each day of some kind of something.
They do. And we've been down there and kind of replaced the blinds and doing some other projects that need to be done. It's a beautiful building, and it just needs some TLC right now. So I think, especially for them using it Monday through Friday, making it a place that we're proud of and that they are too. So.
Is this in the motion?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that will be great. Thank you.
I make a motion to approve for the Davidson County Senior Services to put a sign up, stating Denton Cafe, as presented.
I second it.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Motion carries.
Angel, I was gonna ask you, somebody said one time was talking about the, Legion Hut, that when the town first got it, they were supposed to leave
So
the name.
I saw that same comment on the Concerned Citizens page for Facebook, and the comment was made that it was supposed to remain the American Legion Hut. And so I went back through minutes from when we took ownership of the building and what that process was. And in the minutes, it did state that it was to be called the American Legion Hut. But sometime over the course of about 10 years, it changed in conversation in the minutes to be called the Civic Center. Now, I did not come across a motion. It was just that we were talking about it, and it went from Commissioner Hogan talking about American Legion Hunt to Commissioner Hogan talking about the Civic Center.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure what made that change, and it was in the early 80s that change was made. So, because I was curious, I did see that comment.
So if the society wanted to place like a plaque,
I think there is a plaque on the front wall of the building that still says American Legion Hunt. Now, I'll double check that.
yeah, something like that, we thought about like, I wanted the society, you know, and I'd be willing to pay for it, have a little plaque there, like on the fireplace that could say the years it was in service to the community as the Legion Hunt.
Let me look and see what's there,
Okay.
and I'll bring that back to you,
Okay.
okay? But I did see that information, and I just wanted to.
Yeah, I was just curious, because I wasn't
Right.
around when that was transpired at a meeting, so I didn't know.
Yeah, and it was during the early 80s that took place.
Amend Town Ordinance, Chapter 6, Section 23, Schedule 2. Intersections at which stop is required before entering. Angel.
Okay. We have been looking at this area for quite some time, and I asked Chief James if he would go out last week and just kind of reevaluate the area. We have increased traffic on Broad Street, and Spring Street is starting to increase due to the housing developments that are being built at the end of each street. As you heard from Carter Burns earlier, speaking on behalf of a resident in that area, you know, it is a concern just for the safety of those who are there. We are looking at, we did mention that the speed limits in the town limits in residential areas is 20 miles an hour. We have ordered signs to be placed in the area, and as our staff has increased, we'll be doing more trafficking of the area just to kind of make sure that people are doing the speed limit. However, to kind of help with the situation, we have looked at the area of 4th Street and Spring Street. There is already a stop sign on Spring Street, but there's not one on 4th. And so the traffic that's coming through there, from what we have heard from the residents that have called in, is that people are running the stop sign. They're driving through it, they're speeding. So if it was the situation of someone running that stop sign, or a roll stop, as some people do, someone coming down 4th Street may not see them in time to stop. So that was one of our concerns of putting a 4-way stop there. The other one is at the corner of Broad and 4th Street. There is a stop sign at 4th Street, and this would add a 4-way stop, being that the addition of 4th Street is not currently open, but one day if there is a park there, you know, there is a stop sign there.
Yeah, 'cause-
Okay.
yeah, we put it in because if me or Faye were to go out, and if we get hit, no one technically is at fault because neither one of us has a
Right.
stop sign.
So there is already a stop sign on the 4th Street extension and 4th Street, but this would be adding a 4th Street, stop sign on Broad, which would stop coming down the hill and going up the hill. Kind of thinking that it would stop the flow. There wouldn't be as much time to build up the speed to come down through there.
A 4-way stop there,
Yes.
like there.
Yeah, so it'd be a 4-way stop there and 4-way stop at Spring and 4th. I did send you guys an updated digital copy of this, and I apologize. Chief and I were going back and forth, and I had dropped in areas, and Commissioner Morris reached out to me this morning and said, I have 2 different ones. So I did send that updated one. I just didn't save over what I had made changes to.
And the speed bump thing, I mean, is that something that's extremely
So
high?
where the speed bump comes into play is when the development was being approved by the planning board and by the board of commissioners. Originally, it was requested that with the approval of this development, that they would come back once the development was finished and put a speed bump in on Broad Street to kind of slow traffic down, because that was a concern already. Speed bumps have to be maintained. The developer had agreed to do it, had agreed to put in the speed bumps, but then it becomes our responsibility to maintain those speed bumps. And I'll ask Chief James if he wants to address that at all, the difference in the speed bump versus a stop sign, if there's any.
Well, it sounds like maybe we might
Just-
need both.
And just to clarify too, not a speed bump, speed hump.
Yeah,
Speed humps are wider than the
right.
bumps.
They're,
More like the humps at South Davidson in the driveway? In the
Well, those are
driveway.
the bumps there at South. This would
Okay.
be more like if you go into some communities like Old North State Club or things where you're probably looking at least
Oh, wide.
5
They're-
feet,
yeah,
you know,
they're
5
wider.
feet wide.
Okay.
Yeah, not a speed bump in a parking lot. So, do you have anything you want to address on a speed hump versus a stop sign?
Well, my view is two issues. Number one, we don't have the appropriate signage there. They've been ordered for speed limit signs. Should be 25 in the residential. Right now, we can only enforce 35 since it's in the municipal limits until we get those new signs erected. So I think let's give the police department, and Officer Kashif is now certified to operate radar. Let's work some speed enforcement there. Harder to do now because right now it's technically 35. Once we get those signs, and I think Paul has ordered them, let's put up the 25-mile-an-hour signs. Let's use speed enforcement. And then if you approve the stop signs tonight, whether you do or you don't, we're still going to be working speed enforcement. And from what I've heard, as well as people running the stop signs that are there. I would sort of, right now, let's see what we do before we jump to the speed hump. We've got them in the neighborhood I live in, and I've had to replace the CV joints on one of my feet. And I think that's probably part of it, in and out, you know. And fire departments don't particularly like them. Ambulances don't like them. Difficult to go across them. We even had to put white stripes across ours to mark them because they'd come through in the dark and then almost lose the few teeth they had left. Thank you.
Thank you.
And also just as representation of planning and zoning, we were fine if we move away from the speed bumps to go to the stop sign. So the one thing that was discussed last meeting with some of the members, you can't, if someone goes over a speed hump too fast, to Chief James's point, you know, they're enforcing themselves because they're going to have to pay for parts or labor. They run to the stop sign, and that's something they can get involved in. There's higher penalties.
I have a question.
That makes sense.
I understand the reasoning on the four-way stop. However, if you look at 4th Street, where you've got two four-way stops back to back, you're affecting one resident on 4th Street. That really their driveway is right there. Well, too, if you take the one that the house actually faces from. However, we're not doing anything to assist the people on Broad Street that are in between, whatever that road is, it's not labeled. We're 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Street. There's a lot of houses there. And we're not doing anything to assist those people in terms of speed control. I mean, people could conceivably turn onto Broad, go and get up to 50, 60 miles an hour before they ever get to the stop sign there at the top of at Broad and Ford. So I'm wondering if we could do something intermediary at East 2nd Street to slow them back down, because you at least have another street in between there. You see what I'm saying?
I do, and I will say that originally, you know, that was kind of our thought process on Broad, because you have 3 intersections that come into Broad Street.
Mm-hmm.
And it is entirely up to the board if you want to amend this ordinance to add that additional 4-way stop there. 2nd Street does have an extension that comes across. It is a dead end area, and then, you know, it does create another stop. 3rd Street would just be a 3-way stop.
And I mean, my reasoning on saying that is you've got in between, what's the name of the road?
It's 4th Street.
No, the one that goes by the car wash.
That's Spring Street.
Okay. No, going the opposite way. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
First Street.
So First Street goes
But-
in front of the car wash, and then Spring Street turns off beside.
Okay.
And I know that it looks like you're targeting Fourth Street, but we're really targeting the traffic that is coming down Robin Spring with those two intersections.
Because we've had citizens that came and were concerned before anybody ever moved in, that also live on Broad. And you've got 2 houses there. No, you've got 3 houses there. You've got 2 rental properties also there. You've got a duplex. You've got 2 more houses, 3 more houses. So you've got a lot of houses that you're dealing with, residents living there on Broad Street before you ever get to that stop sign at the top. I just think we need to protect those citizens as well.
And like I said, we had looked at that, and Chief James and I talked, and we were thinking to start with this area to see how that helps control the situation, if it does. But again, it is a decision of the board if you want to add that additional stop. So. And are you just looking at the intersection, because Second Street is kind of an offset when you cross Second to Spring. It's not a straight shot across. Third Street is, but Third Street's a little bit different. It is a more heavy populated between Third and on Spring, between Third and Second. But it just seems like the more focus is the congestion and the more traffic that's added there at Fourth on Spring. So.
And I don't disagree with what you're saying about Spring and Fourth, but I'm just saying we have already had citizens on Broad that this doesn't really impact them at all. This doesn't assist them at all.
Okay. So if you were going to add another area of a stop, what would be your suggestion? I mean, like I said, we had originally looked at adding East Second Street as a 4-way stop there.
That was what I was thinking.
Is that the side of Smith's house, right on is, or down?
No,
The one,
that's the street prior to that.
This would be
And
just
that's
as
not
you
a
turn.
crossway, yeah.
This would be just as you turn off of First Street on Broad. The very first road that cuts across it would be to the back side of where the property's been cleared.
And maybe Third would be a better place.
May I ask, where are the speed limit signs going that we're looking at adding? Would that,
Chief, how far apart do you put the
if we
speed
should
limit
do
signs?
these.
Well, you need one at the beginning off of First, so people can know coming that direction, and then you need one for people, from the cul-de-sac, if they're coming the opposite way, where they can see, for it to be enforceable. And I think I'd recommended, was it 6 for each?
you did?
I think 3 on each side at a minimum. I think we need to make it enforceable.
Okay.
And hopefully we're gonna see some results of that, and with some blue lights turning. And I will tell you, in another life, another town started putting up stop signs, and before you knew it, everybody in the town wanted a 4-way stop sign near their house. So I'm not saying don't do it, I'm saying be ready if you do it, because this citizen gets it, then this one wants it, and before you know it, you got 4-way stop signs everywhere. Then people complain, I can't get anywhere all the time because I'm stopping at stop sign. So I've seen that side of it as
I
well.
see that too.
I see that side of it too.
I just wonder if we
Albemarle,
should
they've
stay
got
with
plenty of
this
stop signs.
and get the speed limit signs up and see
See if that addresses
Yeah,
it.
let the police handle it and see how.
See
that
what
goes.
that does.
Thanks.
And we can definitely
and
revisit
then
this once the
revisit it
signs
if
are
it's
up.
not,
Absolutely.
if it's not better.
I guess a few tickets might, or warnings
I
might,
think we'll.
I would think so.
would be.
So what, if we go forward with the way the ordinance is written tonight, So adding a four-way at Fourth and Spring and Broad and Fourth, and I apologize, I thought I cut my phone off. And then after the speed limit signs are up and the stop signs are in place, monitoring how that is working for the community. And then come back to you guys with a progress report and if recommendations to place them somewhere else.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I just thought I would bring
Yeah,
that up.
absolutely.
I don't
Thank
see
you.
that. But
Chief, can we, park a car up there somewhere?
Yes, we're.
For the time being.
Try anything, and issue we got right now, cause Chief is certified, he's working late shift. Eventually, so Officer Myers gets some exposure to working night shift, we're gonna switch. And I've talked to him and told him I want him to work Spring and Broad because of the complaints. And in all fairness, one day I was there running about 2 miles an hour, and here come a lady with 2 kids, and she was right there with those kids, but one of the little kids, I mean, he just turned right in front of my Tahoe. If I'd been running 20 miles an hour, I probably couldn't stop. And the mother was so embarrassed, she said, he does that, and I shared that with Angel. I said, I saw today what they're talking about, because that little kid, I mean, just right in front of my vehicle. She almost needs a leash for a way to hold on to that, what the kid was riding on. But absolutely, we're willing to try anything. If we can find a spot. And put
Yeah, until we get the signs up and.
And I made a note too, I've been waiting on, we had the other speed sign on North Main. It fell over and it was worked on a little bit for the solar panels where we didn't have to keep changing the batteries. Might be prudent to put the radar sign on Broad somewhere. Let's get a database what people are running, and maybe that will, I sort of want to wait till we got the 25-mile-an-hour signs up, because if I put it up at 35 and then we put up to 25, it's going to be a little confusing to people. But I think that's another thing we can do. Once we get the 25-mile-an-hour signs in, Michael and his folks get those erected, then we will use the radar sign as well as speed enforcement. But we'll look for a place where we can park a vehicle too.
Great.
I need a motion for,
I make a motion that we amend town ordinance chapter 6, section 23, schedule 2 intersections, where stop is required before entering.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion does carry. Okay. Before we go any further, can I ask you to look at this? I love this right here. It's the best thing that's happened in a long time. These are the roads that the state has, they have contracts on. That will finish the paving from the state inside our town. That will be every street within the next 18 months, and I am so glad to see that. That's North Main, South Main. That might be a mistake right there. It's First Street, but they've already paved First a couple of summers ago.
It's
High
First.
Rock Road.
it's First Street from 109 going east to the.
On the other side. They hadn't got
Farmer
that.
Denton Road,
Well, that will complete everything.
yeah.
That will wind them up. I am so glad to see that. I just wanted to call your attention to that. I think that's a big deal. Moving on. Town department reports. Police department, Police Chief Jenkins, and he's already left. But he's got a report in here.
We'll move forward. Commissioner Morris couldn't be here tonight, and Brandon Chief Dorset couldn't be here either, as they were assisting with Captain Metcalf's transport from the hospital to the funeral home. So if Chief Dorset has a report, I'll send it out, or Paula will send it out this week to you. Okay. Michael, you wanna do a report?
I don't really have nothing big impressive, we're just trying to catch up on some of the stuff we had pre-jump and pick up, that's done. A long jump, catch up on brush, catch up on some projects we started in that pitch, and our usual work. And that's about it for us.
Troy, do you wanna do next?
We purchased a drive motor for clarifier number 3. We completed our annual pollutant scan and submitted our findings to the state. I attended the first quarter membership meeting of the North Carolina Pre-Treatment Consortium 2 weeks ago. The fire extinguishers were serviced and checked last month. We ordered and received sulfur dioxide, chlorine, and caustic this past week. And we are preparing for a land application event this week, Thursday and Friday. And David has completed his grade 2 biological wastewater treatment plant operator school, and he'll be sitting for that exam in June. And then just our regular maintenance at the pump station at the wastewater treatment plant.
Thank you, Troy. Administration, Paul Hitter. Jason, I see you. I'm sorry, Jason.
So, like was discussed earlier, we met with Wooten about getting some grants, the ball rolling, get the study done, we could get some grants for the fall. And that first one's gonna be to get us in place to get the grants, hopefully, so that meeting went good. As far as the plant goes, we've gotten with all the operators. We've done more jar testing and more chemical testing to make sure that we're dosing right. Water quality and clarity's kind of came up better. We're running slower, which is helping the filters and having issues. So I've gotten all in. They're doing jar tests usually once a week or so to kind of make sure that we're dosing all the chemicals right. The first build of SCADA, it's been operational for 2 weeks now. It's doing great. All the operators like it. It's monitoring what it needs to. What's kind of coming up next is we're hopefully this week we're going to have the surface wash valve replaced, so we can have that aids in backwashing the filters. It's been down for a couple months now. A couple years, so that'll help the filters a little bit more too. So hopefully that fix will take care of part of that. We're still waiting on the third finished water pump to be installed by Underwood. We keep getting told next week. So it's kind of still up there, but that's kind of hopefully we'll hear back from you this week and working on that. That'll help get more water out of the system quicker. So, especially with max demand coming up. We're looking at other contractors to work with outside of Russell. Right now, he's got we're pumping all the motors. He's got all the stuff to go in, so he's going to be the one finishing that. But we're going to look at other avenues to kind of help us with bigger projects there. We are this month. We're hoping to get some quotes done on redoing the floor in the chemical feed room. It's pretty rough. We're going to try and get a quote for the tube settlers in the basin that we talked about last week ago. We're going to try and get the next SCADA build going that we'll be able to monitor the chemicals being fed and kind of automate that and save some money in there with the chemical feed. We've got 2 operators, Cody and Thomas. They're going to sit for their exam May 30th, so hopefully they'll pass that. It's going to be May 30th. As far as long-term projects we're looking at, we're hoping to get ARPA funding through the engineers and the grants. We're going to try and upgrade 2 of our filters to allow for air wash, which just helps the filters perform better. And hopefully add on a 4th filter. Or get the generator put in April 9th. We're replacing the old one's been out there, and we're still waiting on Duke to get the service disconnection there to put it on the generator. Miss it out. So right now, I think that's ready to go on April 9th. Unless I heard.
have a whole lot to report this month. I have been following up on some of the stuff that I have brought up in the past, so, like the sign, I've gotten a second image to present to you guys. Looking to get a third image. No feedback on the mural at this time. And, work as usual in the office. Everything's going smoothly, so. That's all at this time.
Any questions? Okay. Mike, can you give us your report?
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, some of this I've touched on, so I'll be very brief. The paperwork for future Officer Gamal is in Raleigh. Turnaround's about 5 to 7 weeks for that, they tell me. Justin Ward is doing well in BLET and he will graduate in June. I don't know if you want me to get into number 4 about the quote for the floor.
Go ahead.
I had hoped to, there's some issues with the tile floor right outside my office. Tar Hill Basement came, gave us a quote. I was hoping to learn today from that gentleman, was this asbestos flooring? Because if it is, that changes everything. You may know, Chief Hicks today told me he thought that floor was put down around 1993. I think there's a wooden ramp that goes down toward my office to the fire department side. Some of the tile is breaking. It seems like the floor is moving a little bit. If it's not asbestos, rather than right now, and I haven't even talked to Angel about this yet,
We just got it Thursday.
but we just got it. But rather than spend that $3,975, if we find it's not asbestos, I think we might be wise to tear out what we got, see what we can see with the wood. Chief Hicks told me today that there was a time during flood season that water did come in the front door, and it may be that some of that water has deteriorated the wood. So something does need to be done. We've had some folks almost stripped there, and if we don't get it fixed, we could be civilly liable. So we'll keep you posted on that.
What this is the hallway between where the chief's office is that leads to the fire department. There was a wooden ramp basically built in that hallway, and that's where we feel like part of the problem's coming from. That, and then also maybe that the subfloor could have sunk from water damage, so.
Asbestos was banned in 1989.
Hopefully it wasn't old tiles that we got, so I think we'll be good. And hopefully I'll hear back from that guy. Some engineer was supposed to look at it today, but I never heard back, so hopefully it will not be asbestos. The parade permit, I met with Tim Laughlin again. Everything's good to go on the Farm Park Parade. We're prepared for that with the help of the fire department. Heart of Carolina's Tractor Club, I have their permit. I've signed it. I'm sure our Public Works Director will sign it soon. And I think the last meeting I read today that it was approved to close that Anderson there from Peacock over to Newsom. So we're certainly prepared for that. I just want to say that our hearts go out to the family of Ronnie Metcalf. We offer prayers for the family and pray for the safety of all of our public safety professionals. I saw the news media there today filming the turnout gear and the boots for Captain Metcalf, and it's difficult to walk in and out of our door and see that, but fire department's done a great job honoring him with the display they had there. We continue to work with animal control to trap cats. Recently, one was trapped over at the trailer park. I think it was a trap that we had to put out, but we got a call that there was a cat there. Officer Myers delivered that cat to animal control, and they gladly accepted it. Bryson Smiley, who works for the Davidson County Health Department, came down, rode with me for about half a day. We visited several locations. He handed out several citations for people with dogs and cats that did not have rabies vaccinations. The plan was if you get them vaccinated within a week, he will dismiss the citation, and I think everyone has complied and has realized the importance that something be done due to the rabies case that was found in close proximity to our town. On April 27th, we will have a checkpoint. I'd rather not say where we're gonna have it, but Denton PD will be hosting it. We'll have Thomasville PD, Lexington, and the sheriff's office here to help us. And hopefully we can promote highway safety and hopefully not tear any doors off police vehicles doing so. I promise you we will be extra careful. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
On number one, you mentioned about speed enforcement. I've kept my mouth shut recently because we've been low in officers, but when you get officers again, can you please pay attention to the Bombay Road?
Yes, we will. And that's another place I want to try to get the radar sign back out. And if I can never get back to just doing cheap stuff, I really like moving that sign around. I think it's pays great dividends. But yes, absolutely. And I have sit near your home, and with that blind curve, I'd hate to pull out of your driveway.
Yeah, I won't let anybody leave
Yeah.
backing out.
Right.
I tell them, you cannot back out. I will not let you.
I don't blame you. There's a couple of you there that have got tough spots to get out.
I stop traffic when my mom and dad are leaving my house. I get out and watch to make sure nothing's coming, because
Right.
it's, that just like today, when Larry Angel and I met today, we were at Rick's, and a car just tore off from the stoplight right up 109, and what was it, probably 55 or 60, just zoom, just right through there. It's just, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It really is.
It is, and we're gonna start.
And I know
some
it's hard for
reminders.
you, you can't be everywhere.
Yeah.
I understand
And
that,
that's
but
that's the reason I haven't said anything in months and months and months, but that's
this
why.
time of year down our way is really bad because you have so many people walking.
Yes.
Right.
You know, people walking to the park and that kind of thing.
And
It's-
kids on
and coming around
bikes
that
and-
curve past her house right at mine is
Right.
bad.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, and I promise you, we're gonna do the best we can do, and in the near future, hopefully we can send another officer to radar school. It's time consuming, it's a week school. As soon as we can get another one out of FTO, start training another one, and that's the plan, try to get the next officer in one and send a clear message that we're not gonna tolerate it.
Thank you.
And Chief
Thank you.
James, I wanted to bring up, I do a run each year,
Yes.
and this one's May 18th at Harrison Park, and I just wondered if I could get help from y'all to sort of lead. Mark in the past used to have somebody to sort of lead it in front of the runners and somebody to follow the back, so that nobody can hurt.
Absolutely. I helped Chief Hicks with that last year,
Okay,
so we definitely will, and be honored to do it.
okay, thank you.
And the display sign, we'll have it up on the 109 end of North Main like Chief Hicks has put out before. I think that worked very well.
I appreciate it.
So absolutely, be glad to. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And manager's report.
You told me that? Okay. I couldn't remember.
So Attorney Whiven was not able to be with us this evening. I don't have a whole lot else to report on except for what we've already covered this evening. I did want to say that, last week was Volcanic Pickup and Public Works had several other projects going on, so we do appreciate all the work that they did to get all that stuff picked up before the weekend. I did go through town this morning. There are several areas of concern that we're gonna have a conversation with code enforcement about. So your phones may ring or you may get texts or emails, but they need to have the conversation. So, the longer they go on, the longer it takes to get something taken care of. There is, a hearing set for 249 Farmbrook next week. Tomorrow. I was thinking this week, but for some reason I wanted to say next Tuesday. But that'll be tomorrow, to meet with the property owners there to make sure they understand what needs to take place there. So we'll give you an update on that once we have that back. Do you guys have any questions on anything?
Commissioner comments and concerns?
I just have one quick question. Do we, I know that we discussed a little bit about the building and renovations. Do we, has any progress been made on that?
For the Civic Center?
No,
For which building?
for the future town hall.
It'll still be a part of our budget meeting, which
Okay.
we'll discuss in detail in the May meeting. Yeah.
Sound good, sound good. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I do
Thank you
have
for asking.
one thing.
Okay.
In talking about the stop signs, as we were talking about all that, where are we at? I know we approved for the railroad track.
So
Have we heard anything about that?
So I did reach out to them because,
Okay.
you know, they kind of feel like that's the way that we grow around here is that people ghost us and we don't hear back from them. But
We approve it, they ask us, we approve it, and we don't hear from them.
yes, and so I did reach back out to them and they are in the preliminary stages of making these plans. When I said, we're just making sure we're still on your radar, they wanted to set up a time to come down and meet and they've not provided that. So I'm waiting on them because it's a project that's sponsored through the railroad. And so they've got to get all the forces together, DOT and us, and so they just have not followed through. And I don't know if it's the timing of the grant, because that's what they reached out saying they had a grant, so,
We could use those stop signs.
yes. That's right, we can take them and put them in a different spot.
Trying to save money.
That's right. Yeah, we can do that. So, but I'll follow up again with them. It's been a few weeks since I've reached out and hadn't heard anything back, but
Have we heard anything on the lighting on 109?
so the lighting project on 109 is two different companies. The one there at coming into town from north of town is Duke Energy, and the gentleman that is a representative for that project is working with another engineer because there's not poles. So they've got to look to see how they can best get lighting on 109 there around the town limits coming in at the Classic, starting about where Handy Sanitary District office is. The other side of town is Energy United, and I actually met the gentleman who's the project manager for that. I spoke at Mohawk a couple weeks ago for Leadership Davidson County, and the gentleman that was in charge of this project was there, so I got to speak to him in person. But they are a little bit different to work with than Duke Energy. Duke comes out and looks and assesses what the need is, and they kind of sent me, hey, this is what we have, and this is what you can choose from. What do you want? And so I kind of put it back to them because I don't do lighting. It's not in my realm of what I feel like we need, or I could give them best options. There's about 6 to 8 poles there, but as we've learned, they're not all power poles. Some are windstream. So I'm just waiting on him to come back to us. And like I said, he was in training 2 weeks ago, so I think he's just a little bit behind on it. Hopefully that'll be another one that we'll have before you guys soon. That one will be just an additional add to our account, but the one that's north of town, it'll be a build out, so there'll be an extra cost for the complete project.
I think it'd be worth it, Dave.
Yeah, it will.
It'll look nice. It'll look really good.
And, the places that we've added some additional lighting, I can tell a difference in the evening where those are. So it has helped. And I've asked before, and I hadn't talked to Chief James about this, but the police department was kind of looking at what areas were still dark after hours. So if there's still an area of concern or if there seems to be an area that needs to be lighted, then we'll look at adding some more throughout the town.
And I got asked about the telephone poles downtown.
So the
Are
poles
they ready to
downtown,
switch them out now?
this has been you and Paula, y'all have been on a crusade to get these poles changed. And I would say Paula's worked really hard with Duke Energy and DOT and Windstream and everybody to try to get this project completed. We're kind of at a standstill right now. Windstream has installed the poles and moved their lines, but the way that they placed them on the pole, there's an issue with the way that Duke Energy would be able to put their power to the pole, and then plus DOT putting their lights on the poles. And Windstream's not willing to make the change to accommodate them. So DOT is actually looking at moving the control panel box that's there at the corner of South Main Street and Salisbury, and they're looking at moving it to the corner of North Main and Salisbury. And I'd actually sent it to Misty for review to see what information we needed to do to move forward with that. Possibly locating it, if possible, behind where we have that temporary signage when we have events, so that it's not right on the corner. That, it's kind of a nice corner of town, center of town, and we wouldn't want the metal box just right there for that to be the only thing you see in the middle of town. So.
Thank
It's coming along.
It's a process.
Yeah.
As far as switching out the other
It
poles.
took 10 years to do it. Really?
As far as switching out the other poles, I'm told that there's a long list. And so, once we get this issue straightened out, then I'm going to go back to Windstream and see if we can't maybe be moved up on the list.
Yeah.
So if you'll notice, like all the new poles that are in town, those are all Duke Energy poles, and they look really good. And those were done.
Windstream has not transferred their lines over,
That's
so I am wanting to reach out to them. It's just
That's
on
why
the list to do.
And there was an issue with the stoplight at Rick's being too low.
Okay, so they came out, DOT came out and
DOT
moved the
took care of
light
that.
up.
Okay.
So they did some adjustments there, and that was taken care of for them.
I will say, when we met with DOT, Paul and I and Michael went down and met with Windstream and DOT and Duke Energy, and we don't really meet the requirements to have a traffic light there at the corner of Salisbury and South Main. We really want to try to do whatever we can to maintain that light. There are a lot of towns that are going to three-way stops instead of having a traffic light. They felt like they did a traffic study and said that our traffic doesn't meet that, and I asked them what time of year they did the traffic study, because I could tell, late in the evening it's not that much, but summertime from May to August, we really have a lot of traffic. And any given day, in the middle of the day, there's a lot of traffic. Mm-hmm. So it just depends on what time you're there doing a traffic count.
Anything else? Not. Move on. Spring Litter Sweep is April the 16th, 2024 at 5:30, 7 p.m. at Harrison Park. If you can possibly make it, come out and let's pick up some litter. It's only for an hour and a half. And basically, it kind of looks pretty good except for the northern end. It's pretty rough out there.
We could use about 4 people out there.
Yeah. Elected officials business social is on April the 18th, 2024 at 6:15 p.m. at the Larry First Southern Event Center. I hope all of you can make that.
I would also like to mention that we have the meeting with Labella
I'll be on Thursday.
this Thursday. So if you can come by tomorrow, I need you to sign
Call for
a
the
special meeting.
for Thursday evening.
Okay.
5:30, I believe is what we decided upon.
And Board of Commissioners adjournment. So I'll look for
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Now,